It's from back there in that, in this wheel seal leaking. All right, so next step in doing this, we're gonna remove this caliper and caliper bracket. Back behind here, we've got 6 of these 1 3/16 size bolts, and there's 3 more down there as well. We're gonna remove that. We're gonna back, I don't know if you can see, we're gonna back the pads off right here. There's your pads right there. So back that off, remove those, then we could take off this entire caliper assembly. And then after that, we'll remove this axle shaft. Be right back. All right, now that we've got the caliper and other brake components moved out of the way, you can kind of see better the wetness and residue that this leaking wheel seal has caused. Next, I'm gonna pull axle shaft out, and then we're gonna start taking apart some bearings. All right, now that we got the shaft out, next is gonna be to remove this piece, the lock ring, and you got another lock ring down here on the bottom. So get a flathead or something, remove that, and then you can remove this nut, and then you can remove your entire hub assembly. So this is one of those preset hubs. Came out once I got the nut off. Nut, then this washer, then the bearing, and then this spacer, which goes from this front bearing through the spacer to the rear bearing inside. And it's what presets your bearing thrust and your torque. So when you go to reset this one, I mean, it even says it on the washer, preset to 500 foot-pounds on that guy. 500 foot-pounds preset. So that's what we're gonna do on that. But yeah, I'm gonna finish yanking this hub off, and then we'll change out that wheel seal. So there's the cause of our problem, the faulty wheel seal. As you can see, it's all, not so much that, but it's all caked up with grease or 75-90 gear oil that's been leaking out. Getting on this, getting up onto your spindle, your bracketry, and DOT sees that and you're going to be out of service. And then getting up over here on your brakes. It's not too much on the pads. They're salvageable, and these are brand new damn pads anyways. So we'll just clean that off. But I'll clean this up, install that new seal, and then we'll slap her back on. So with installing this new wheel seal, they do make like an installer that goes down and you smack it on top of the hammer. I didn't have that on me. We've got one at the shop, but just using some good old lumber, and this is probably $200 worth of wood right here, but I used this, went around slowly, just tap 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 tap, and got it in. Just make sure, if you do this method without the installer, even with the installer, you just want to make sure you're going down even on both sides, because if not, you'll go down too far. You can either bend the seal, putting a crack in this metal, or you can damage the outside, the rubber. There's like a rubber ring on the outside as well as on the inside, but you'll damage the outside and you'll be back where you started if you don't remove that seal and replace it again. So for any truckers or DIY guys, this isn't that bad of a job. I mean, take a couple hours out of your day and you can knock it out to save yourself some money, some serious money. Yeah, I'll get this sucker put back on the spindle, and then put all the guts back in her, torque her down to 500, and we'll get her going. All right, we got the hub loosely mounted. So the order of the guts, here we got spacer, goes in between both bearings, so that's going to go in first. It's going to go all the way to the wall, the front, I guess, bearing or wall of the inner bearing. And then it's going to be next this bearing, and it's going to be your washer. Then your nut. With this nut, like I said, it says on it preset 500 foot-pounds, so you're just going to set this sucker to 500 and let her rip. There's no backing off, none of that stuff, like with other styles. So after that 500, then it's going to be this retainer, and then this, they call it a red retainer, and then you're pretty much done. Slide your axle back in. All right, I've got all the internals of the hub installed. Just wanted to give you guys this disclaimer. If you're going to do this yourself, make sure that you put oil back in this hub, because it'll take too long for the oil to come all the way from the diff down before you burn up one of your bearings. So make sure you either fill it up with oil before you put your bearing and all your other stuff inside, or you pop this little guy off and do it. But fill it up until you see this new oil just pouring out. And now I know it's full, and I'll just button it back up top and send her on her way. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that. I'm going to throw the brake components, or actually I'm going to throw this axle back in and then throw the brake components back on, and then this thing will be ready to go. Get some tires. All right, so everything is back on, torqued. We got our ABS sensor wiring put back into place, zip tied back, cleaned up as best as we could. This is my buddy's truck, so he's actually going to take it and pressure wash it after I throw these tires back on. But yeah, throw the tires back on, take it for a quick test drive, and this job is done. Catch you guys on the next one.